Where do young men go when they're not okay?
Go.
I can tell you where they should go, but where they don't go. And I can also tell you where they wind up, which is why they are the way they are right now.
Go.
So, where they should go, but often don't go, is an older male. But you run into a couple of things as a young man when you start trying to seek counsel from older males. If you're around the age of 16 to 18, you're dealing with a lot of personal pride, a lot of I can do it all myself, which is understood because that's what you're being told at this stage of your maturation. It is exactly what you're being told. Even when experiencing that, you should have somebody that you can go to for some kind of guidance when you run into unfamiliar terrain. Because unfamiliar terrain will always be there during your maturation process, even well into early adulthood, even well into your 30s. You'll still be seeking guidance for unfamiliar terrain, right? But when you're between the ages of 16 and 18, there's a lot of personal pride. There's a lot of I can do it myself. There's a lot of they don't understand what it's like to be me. And again, rightfully so, because at this stage, older men don't make it easy for younger men to come to them because a lot of the older men in my generation lack grace. They lack grace. They lack social etiquette to know that if a young man is coming to you, this isn't the time to peacock. This isn't the time to grandstand. This isn't the time to remind them that, oh, now you finally want to come to me. No, welcome them with open arms. Don't even mention the fact that they might have dubbed you a couple of times because it doesn't help to build the bridge or mend the fence, which by this time, at this stage of their relationship, there's probably already damage to both of those things. Now, having said all that, you have an age group that is trying to find its independence, but also struggling with the balance of still feeling like a kid, but being reminded that adulthood is rapidly descending upon you, or you'll be ascending to adulthood, depending on how you see adulthood. But even with that said, a lot of these young men are just running around with their emotional intelligence in question, let's not forget, and needing to make what feels to them like important life decisions, which can get heavy in the mind. Who do they go to, though? Who do they go to that they can trust? Because that's what it's about, right? Now, I use that word on purpose because I'm about to kind of tip my hand in where they often find themselves. They often find themselves at the ear and guidance of their peers. And when I say ear and guidance, not only are they directing their peers, they're guiding each other along their pathway, because to them, it feels safer than asking you or us, depending on how you see your relationship with younger people, without asking you or us for any help. Because of that, you're having these young men oftentimes make emotional decisions about logical experiences. And what I mean by that is they're going into situations that require logic in the thinking, but they're going about it in an emotional fashion. They don't mean to. It's just that in the avoidance of seeking advice from older males, they're getting an empathetic or sometimes sympathetic, I sometimes struggle with figuring out which one is which, shoulder to lean upon in the women in their lives. They're not getting advice more than they're getting sympathetic pats on the head, which often result in it being a band-aid on a shotgun wound kind of an approach. And when I say that, it's because nothing's ever really getting solved more than you're being told it's going to be all right. It's what you got to go through sometimes, that kind of stuff. Like, none of it really benefits the listener outside of maybe the temporary fix that a pat on the head offers. And because of that, when these young men do hit actual obstacles that you can't empathize your way out of, that's when you see them struggle with decision making, because that all right that they were told it was going to be doesn't exist. And now they feel like they've been lied to. So now they take their own approach to life, which sometimes leads to them not doing anything at all. They become that kid that lays about because, one, they never sought how to get up once you got knocked down. They never sought that advice. And because they never sought that advice, they don't know how to deal with the obstacles that come along. So they wind up mishandling a lot of situations that they could have avoided mishandling had they just sought the proper counsel in the first place. But by the time they do, they've already kind of made a mess of things. So now, when they do get that counsel from that male that they should have already received it from, because that's usually who comes and helps them clean up the mess, because it takes logic to clean up a mess, there is going to be a level of frustration that does splinter the relationship between that male and that young man that's asking. Because of course there's going to be a level of, why did you wait this long? And there's never a real good answer. There's never a real good answer for that. And if there's one thing I know, is when a young man doesn't know something, they're really good at giving bad answers and really bad at saying, hey, my bad. This is why I did it. I was afraid. But again, that's something that has to be taught.
Go.